All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. It is Saturday, January 10th, 2026. And I have another Correcting the Record show to do here today because one person out here on YouTube that I've sued in a circuit civil case 3.5 months ago was when I filed the case. It is currently in progress. One person just won't stop lying about many things regarding me that affect my reputation. So I have to continue to correct the record until hopefully he stops at some point. He can talk about me all he wants. Just don't make things up. Don't lie. Don't make false statements as fact. Just for your content. That's the bottom line. But before we get to all of that, and I have a lot to go over here today, and hopefully I can get it done in about 2 or 2.5 hours and get a walk-in here on this same channel later today. Before we get to all that, first of all, let me make sure that everything is rolling smoothly on the back end of YouTube, and it looks like it is. And let me make sure. Am I on the right account? No, I'm not. No. And the notification has gone out. And let me do a sound check. Just don't make things up. Don't lie. Why is it only showing in 144p on my end? I am streaming properly. Let me try that again. Oh, there we go. 1080p, 60 frames per second. Here on this same channel later today. Before we get to all that, first of all, let me make sure that everything is rolling smoothly on the back end of YouTube, and it looks like. All right, all is rolling well. All is rolling well. We're going to get right to it because there's a lot to go over, but if you're new here, I've sued a YouTuber in a circuit civil case, a Florida circuit civil case. I'm in California. He's in Florida. I had to sue him in Florida. You have to sue someone out of state in their state because that's where there is jurisdiction on the person you're suing. The only time you bring a legal action against somebody in your own state and your own county is if you have to file a harassment order or stalking injunction. It's called something differently in every state, but it's the same principle. Stalking, harassment cases, even if it's on somebody in a different state, you file that within your own state and typically within your own county, your local county courthouse within your state. So that's a little bit of the backstory. Basically, he's been defaming my character. He's been commercially exploiting me. He's been running a monetized smear campaign on me for the last 6+ years. And it got to the point of where it's just affecting me, in every single way out here. And so I had to bring forth this legal action. Now, since I filed this case, the defendant continues to escalate. He continues to do the same thing. And then he continues to also say the complete opposite regarding most things, the opposite of what's true. So let's get right to it. Hey, respectfully, maturely, professionally, Dawn's in the house. She was actually first. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. TSS, hello, Eli first. But Dawn just beat her to it. TS says, oh, I thought I was first. I'll never be first, LOL. Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Oh, yeah. So let's get right to it. We've got a lot to go over. This is up to the minute, including what the defendant posted on this community wall just a few hours ago earlier today. And he was talking about my business and trying to make it come off like I need to sue as my business. and at suing as a business requires you to have an attorney. That would be true if that was the case, but that is not the case. So with my opening statement here, we're going to be talking about DBA, which stands for Doing Business As, versus LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company. I have a DBA and I have an LLC. My DBA is Elias Melas DBA, Genuine Networking Association, or GNA for short. My LLC is Genuine Networking Association, Genuine Networking Association, and in parentheses, GNA, LLC. And who is actually suing? Who is actually suing in this case against the defendant, right? So let me just read what I wrote here, okay? I want to clear something up right at the beginning because the defendant just posted something that's designed to confuse people about what I am legally allowed to do. The defendant circled a rule that says an LLC or corporation or a corporation must be represented by a licensed attorney. That rule is real, but it does not apply here because I am not suing through an LLC. I'm not suing through my LLC or any business entity. I'm suing as myself. I am suing as Elias Dimitri Melas, an individual proceeding pro se. A DBA, Doing Business As, is not a separate legal entity. A DBA is just a name an individual uses to do business. Legally, the person and the DBA are the same. That's why the DBA exists, to identify that you own the business. It doesn't mean you have to sue through the business. Okay? So when someone defames a person by attacking the business name that the public associates with that person, that is still defamation of the individual. I am not asking for business damages. I am not claiming lost profits. I am not suing on behalf of an LLC. I am not invoking corporate rights. I am bringing a personal defamation case for reputational harm to me, Elias Melas, where the defamatory statements were made through attacks on a name that is publicly known to be me. Courts have recognized this for decades. When a sole proprietor is defamed through their trade name, the claim belongs to the person, not to some separate entity. Okay? He's defaming me directly. The defendant wants people to believe the defendant wants people to believe I secretly turned this into a corporate lawsuit so he can argue I need a lawyer. You can argue that in court all you want, sir. I would love to hear you bring that up at the motion to dismiss hearing. That's probably going to be one of your arguments. And I mean, you're getting your response here. This is the same response that Judge Stacy will get at the motion to dismiss / anti-slap hearing. Because you have the motion to dismiss, which is where you're going to probably bring that up. And then we're going to be dealing with the anti-slap, which is going to be involving around free speech versus defamation of character. Yeah. So the defendant wants people to believe I secretly turned this into a corporate lawsuit so he can argue I need a lawyer. That is false. There is no corporate plaintiff in this case. There is one plaintiff, me. See my name here? Eli Melas. I am the GNA president and founder, but I'm not suing as the president and founder of the GNA. I'm suing as Elias Dimitri Melas. Eli's my nickname. It's not a legal name, it's a nickname. Okay? And under Florida law and every other state's law, a natural person has the absolute right to represent himself in court. That's the law. You can represent yourself, including when the defamatory statements involve the name he does under business. So when the defendant says you can't do that without a lawyer, what he is really doing is pretending I filed a lawsuit that I didn't file. I didn't sue as an LLC. I didn't sue for business damages. I sued as a human being whose reputation was and still is being attacked. And no amount of circling the wrong rule changes that. So, Mr. Defendant, feel free to argue this at the motion to dismiss / anti-slap hearing. And, I mean, listen, that's the law. That's procedure. Something that you seem to either not understand, you don't understand procedure, or you pretend to not understand it, in my opinion, because you're trying to paint this in a different way to your audience to, I guess what, save your face and look innocent in front of your audience. That's on you. Whatever you do on YouTube's on you. Whatever happens in court is what matters. Now, let's share that the defendant called my lady an awful human being due to her past public record and other honest mistakes she's made in her life. So today, I'm going to show you all how awful the defendant is by sharing with you what he isn't. Okay? Then you can all compare the contrast of what he's saying about my girlfriend, Dawn, and what he's actually done. Okay? So, what really is happening here is A, publications by a litigant about an opposing party during active litigation. B, crowdsourced dogpile orchestration. And C, narrative preloading for the upcoming hearings. Yeah. Oh, man. That's enough said there. Okay. We're going to break down each post into what it's doing, what it alleges, fact versus opinion, why it matters, court plus platform plus optics, and then we're going to correct the record once again without stepping into his traps or the people in his group, their traps, right? So he made 3 community postings before the one he made earlier this morning. Those were, I believe, at some point yesterday, right? Post number 1. The issue isn't docket blocks. It is credibility. That's what he's saying, paraphrased. He's saying I claimed unavailability and then I appeared publicly to talk crap about someone's child that is no longer alive. He's saying that I wasn't truthful with the court. And then he's saying that he's going to bring this up at the spoliation hearing. Bad faith, deceptive behavior. I'm paraphrasing this, right? 1, what the post is trying to accomplish strategically, reframe, shift from docket blocks / administrative scheduling to character assassination credibility. He's trying to paint me in a negative light to his audience, as he always has, right? Convert scheduling into moral misconduct. Unavailable for court means unavailable to do drama, therefore liar / bad faith. Okay. Pre-sell a hearing narrative. He's telling his audience and implicitly trying to tell the court through future look what happened arguments that he will use this as proof of bad faith at the spoliation hearing. You can go right ahead and do that. You can bring that up to Judge Stacy and you'll see that it doesn't matter, right? The hearing was scheduled. I followed procedure. Okay. It's all handled. That was an administrative, communication with Judge Stacy's judicial assistant. Nothing more than that. He's making a big deal out of nothing. Mobilize the pylon. His replies. He's talking to his lady, exactly, babe, with the kissy poo emoji 100 and the A-OK. Complete clown. Are not ignore the internet behavior. They're active reinforcement and encouragement. He's trying to basically enrage his audience to continue dogpiling me in his comment section for engagement, right? And then to set it up for the live streams and to get donations, right? So here's my summary on this. And let me check out the chat here real quick. Hey, Lewis, how you doing? 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. I'll try to check out the chat as much as I can, folks. Okay. Setting a hearing with a judicial assistant is an administrative process. It requires nothing more than a yes or no on availability. Listen to that very carefully, sir, because that's exactly what's going to happen in court if you bring this up. And you can bring it up. I'm not telling you to not bring it up. What I'm saying is if you bring it up, this is what it's going to be, right? All I had to do was answer yes or no on availability. Nothing else matters, even prior emails and stuff like that. Courts do not require litigants to disclose their private lives, personal activities, or medical information just to schedule a date. The defendant is trying to turn routine scheduling into something it isn't, sworn testimony. Sir, do you understand that us communicating with Judge Stacy's judicial assistant is not sworn testimony? It is not a court filing. It is basically just sending an email, trying to coordinate a hearing. That's it. It's administrative. Okay? But he's trying to make it sound like it's a lot more than that, right? Because that's what he's always done. Made everything sound like it's something, right? He makes something out of nothing, right? Okay? That's simply not how courts work, sir. My private life is not part of the docket. Now, whatever I want to put out regarding my private life out here, I can choose to do that, or I can choose to not put out certain things. Same with my Lady Dawn. I can pick and choose what I want to make public and what I want to keep private, sir. Just like you can. So what's the problem? What's the problem? My private life is not part of the docket, and it is not something the defendant gets to audit for his audience. So you want to audit my private life during an active court case where you're the defendant, sir. You're the defendant. Now he's telling his viewers that he'll bring this up at the spoliation hearing next month. He's free to do that. He is. You are. But it has nothing to do with spoliation, evidence, or discovery. It is an attempt to inject personal smears into a legal proceeding. Go right ahead and bring it up to Judge Stacy, sir. Go right ahead. You're probably going to do it. Like at this point, you're probably thinking, well, I'm so boxed in here, I've got to try anything, right? And if anything else, all she can do is say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, right? I think this is more about trying to shame me in front of the judge and publicly, because you know these are going to be recorded and you know they're going to end up on YouTube. I'm not going to put them out there, but you know other people are going to buy these court proceedings that are actually recorded in this courthouse, the same courthouse where you try to get a stalking injunction on me, and that proceeding was recorded. You know they're going to be recorded, right? So you're going to try to paint me in a negative light. Even if you lose, then you can use the court recorded video to try to paint me in a different way. I already know it's going to be recorded. I'm assuming you know that, right? And I'm going to be on my best behavior, right? And quite frankly, it doesn't matter how you would spin any video afterwards. What matters is what happens in court, right? That kind of tactic risks judicial scrutiny because it wastes time and has no legal relevance. What's the legal relevance? It was an administrative aspect, not a legal proceeding, not any legal documentation or anything. We're just scheduling a hearing. And the judicial assistant is basically like a secretary of a business. In this case, the business is the court. She's basically like the secretary for the judge, dude. Wow. Number 2, claims embedded in it, fact assertions versus opinion. Factual-ish assertions, the dangerous part because they imply provable misconduct. You claimed unavailability for the January 9th window, and yet voluntarily appeared publicly on a stream during that same period. That contradiction, and you're a fool for arguing that point. I did make a community post in explaining this. It's on my wall here. He's saying that judges will sniff out my BS after the fact justifications when I put out my posting to state the situation. He says he will use the incident to reflect my bad faith tactics and deceptive behavior. This is over scheduling a hearing. And this is ridiculous. It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. Over scheduling a hearing, an administrative aspect of the court, not a legal aspect of the court. Wow. I think this guy just loves to continue trying to paint me in a negative light in any way he can to his audience. And it makes him feel better about himself too, in my opinion, right? And opinion insult, less legally weighty, but still malicious, contextual. He's saying I'm a fool. He's saying it's BS. And then he's saying you reap what you sow. Basically, he continues to play a recording that was not authorized to be recorded. Another way is to say it was illegally recorded regarding a prior case that didn't involve him. It involved a friend of his, let's call her Miss T, that I tried to get a restraining order on her a little over a year ago in December of 2024. And actually, the person that did record it admitted it publicly on his community wall. It was Coach J. Let's just call him that. It's not his real name, but that's what he's gone by out here in the past. It was Coach J, and Coach J is saying that, you know, he didn't agree or consent to the law. That doesn't matter. Well, the law's the law. You know, he broke the law. It's obvious he broke the law. It's been reported to the court, and they've already responded to me that they're forwarding it to the proper department, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll hold these people accountable. I think they will, because they're not going to want me thinking that the law, exists for no reason. I mean, if laws can't be enforced, then why even have laws, right? Big picture, he's not just insulting you, he's accusing you of dishonesty, tied to court, facing conduct, bad faith, deception, and he's threatening to weaponize it in a hearing. Well, I mean, you can do it all you want. It's all good. Do what you got to do. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's irrelevant. It's legally irrelevant. Summary. What matters here isn't the insults. It is the type of claims being made. The defendant isn't just venting online. He's making statements that accuse me of dishonesty and bad faith conduct tied to court proceedings. That crosses out of opinion and into factual allegations about how I interact with the court. When someone says you lied about availability, you acted in bad faith, or you're being deceptive, those aren't just insults. They're claims about conduct in a legal case. And that's exactly why he's now saying he plans to bring it up at a hearing. The problem for him is simple. Scheduling availability is not testimony. It is not evidence, and it is not a sworn statement. It is an administrative yes or no. Again, it is an administrative yes or no. Trying to turn that into deception is not legal analysis. It is narrative building for an audience. That's all you're doing, sir, is you're performing again for your audience. Courts also protect litigants' privacy. Judges do not litigate people's personal schedules, medical issues, or private lives just because a hearing had to be coordinated. Using administrative scheduling as a weapon in a courtroom is procedurally improper and legally irrelevant. I just said the same thing. It's procedurally improper and legally irrelevant. Threatening to drag medical records into a court over a scheduling email would not only be procedurally improper and subject to being quashed, it would also invade highly protected private health information that courts go out of their way to shield. I don't know, sir. I hope you have health insurance. I really hope you do. You probably do. Maybe your parents have helped you with that, in my opinion, right? I don't know if you understand. Your friend, Miss T, understands because she has a life and health license like I do. I have a property and casualty and life and health license. Both licenses, even though I'm not actively selling, they're still active licenses. I'm just not actively selling. But do you understand, sir, one of the most protected things we have in the U.S. is our health records, and you publicly threatening to subpoena my health records to try to prove, or try to subpoena Don's health records or anyone's health records to try to prove something over a judicial scheduling hearing, right? That's just ridiculous. Or a scheduling administrative aspect. My God. My God. Courts decide cases on evidence, preservation, and discovery, not on who streamed when. Everything else is just noise. And just to be clear, let's make this very clear, because you keep spinning everything you possibly can. Maybe because you feel pretty boxed in, because I've closed all the loopholes and you're still trying to find them. And you can keep on doing whatever you want, but I'll keep on. If you keep on saying the opposite of what's true, then I'll correct the record every time. I'll keep doing that. And just to be clear, the January 9th date was not a continuance. You still call it a continuance. It was not a continuance. I'd like to see you bring that up in court in front of Judge Stacy. It was not a continuance request by either party. You didn't request a continuance, and neither did I. It was a court initiated scheduling change after the entire afternoon hearing block was canceled by the court, not by me. The JACS, short for Judicial Automated Calendaring System, moved the matter to the morning block as a placeholder while the judicial assistant waited for a simple yes or no availability response from both parties. I think you knew that all along, but you needed more YouTube content. And instead of you owning up to the fact that you're using all this for YouTube content, you flip it and you say, I'm trying to use this for YouTube content. No, I'm just correcting the record to protect my reputation from you and the people that are helping you do that, acting in concert on your end. In that situation, if either party says they are unavailable, that's all you have to say. I'm unavailable or not. No, right? The proper procedure is for the court to issue the next available hearing dates. There is no legal requirement to provide a reason for unavailability at that stage. The only thing required from either side is a yes or no unavailability. Okay? Continuances only come into play after a hearing has already been set. So let me make it very clear to you and your audience, sir, and try to spin this. I'd love for you to try to spin this, okay? There was no hearing set for a continuance to even be possible. How can you continue something that doesn't exist, but you're trying to play that off to your audience? What did I get a continuance on? The hearing wasn't set at that point. Now it is, because the judge forced you to do the right thing. The situation got escalated to the court, aka Judge Stacy. The judicial assistant escalated to the court, aka Judge Stacy, over a simple scheduling issue, or a scheduling matter. And you don't think that Judge Stacy and the JA aren't taking note of that? You know, if the JA has to go to the judge over something that she's more than able to handle, there's only one reason that happens. It's because one or both the parties, or all parties, one or many or all parties, depending on how many parties are in the case, are just not complying. You were not complying. I was compliant. I was fully compliant according to the procedure. I was fully compliant. Let me see here. So the JACS, Judicial Automated Calendaring System, moved the matter. I already read that. So, and then I said, in that situation, if either party says they are unavailable, the proper procedure is for the court to issue the next available hearing dates. Okay? So, and the only thing legally required, well, not even legally required, the only thing required from either side is a yes or no on availability. And continuances only come into play after a hearing has already been set and a party asks to move the hearing, to move it, right? So now that hearing is in April, right? If either one of us is not ready or something comes up, at that point, we would have to request for a continuance. And at that point, in that situation, the court may ask for a reason. See, you either got the phrase continuance or the word continuance confused, or you played it up to your audience. I think it's the latter. I think you played it up to your audience. You're much smarter than that, man. But I hate to say it, man. Maybe you are smart. Maybe you are smart, but you're not going to outsmart me. I'm the one guy you're never going to outsmart. You make many statements like you did on your stream last night. You said many things like, I'm the only one that basically is trying to hold you accountable and just can't let all this go. Well, you violated me the most out of anyone. You've done this to many people, and many other people, in my opinion, have been hurt by you in similar ways, right? And maybe you outsmarted them, sir, and got them to go away before they took action. You're not going to get me to go away. I'm the one. I'm the one, sir. I'm the one you can't outsmart. You can say whatever you want. You will not outsmart me. I will not let you. It won't happen. Okay? So continuances only come into play after a hearing has already been set and a party asks to move it, which is a completely different process. Simply put, it is impossible to continue something that does not yet exist. One more time, sir. Simply put, it is impossible to continue something that does not yet exist. It exists now because Judge Stacy forced you to answer. You know, the JA said, this is what the court decided, but the court is Judge Stacy. It's her courtroom. It's her case. She's been assigned the case. She is the judge of our case. She is the court in this case. Number 3, why this matters. Court plus optics. It is litigation adjacent intimidation. He's telling an audience you're going to get punished at a hearing because of what you did online. And he's using his platform to frame you as dishonest. He's trying to blur categories on purpose. Administrative scheduling availability does not equal sworn testimony. Unavailable for a court window does not mean you can do nothing else that morning. Public speech does not mean admission of lying. The comments are part of the publication ecosystem. The replies from accounts like, we're just going to call it the OT account, the HB account, and the KID account, etc., become evidence of coordinated dogpiling and evidence he endorses and amplifies it. He replies approvingly and affectionately, with hearts and emojis and all that, man. You're trying to stir up that emotion. You're trying to get these people so emotionally charged over making up things about me. And when they do it, you feel like you're winning. You feel special. You feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you're in control, right, sir? Right, sir? I know your game, sir. I just choose to not play that game, right? My summary is, so this isn't about scheduling. It is about intimidation and narrative control. He's using his platform to turn a routine court process into a public accusation of dishonesty, then surrounding it with coordinated pile-on comments he openly endorses. That's not legal advocacy. It is pressure and performance. Courts sort cases by evidence and procedure, not by who can generate the loudest YouTube narrative. You've been pretty loud, sir, and so has your friend Miss T. And you can keep on getting as loud as you want, but I'm telling you, that's not going to work in court. Say whatever you want and your protected rights on YouTube, sir. But it's the same thing on YouTube's not going to work in court. You can't perform in court. The court's about the truth and the facts. Post number 2. He's trying to say that I live for attention, and he's trying to say I'm a full-blown narcissist, and he's saying that everybody can see it, right? Let me check out the chat real quick. We are at 37 minutes. We'll take a break at 45 minutes. ODN, how are you doing? I know you think he's smart, Eli, but he's not smart. Yeah, that's why he keeps calling it a continuance. ODN, maybe you're right. You have your opinion, I have mine. I think he's performing on YouTube. ODN, I think he's performing on YouTube. You think he's not, smart. I think he's smart. I just think I'm smarter than him. And I'm not saying that to try to one-up him. I'm just the one that's just not going to let up. I'm going to keep on, handling this professionally, properly, and legally through the court system. I'm the only one he hasn't been able to push away. Besides, Granny's watching Jess that got a restraining order on him, but that's a restraining order. This is a full-blown circuit civil case with defamation, slander, libel, abuse of process, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and also malicious prosecution for him trying to get a fraudulent stalking order on me. I've never stalked. Oh, yeah, by the way, you continue to accuse me on your stream of sexually harassing your mother. I never did that. You just basically made another, false statement as fact that was dismissed from your stalking case, which was dismissed without prejudice. It was dismissed without prejudice. You can refile again. You can try to file again, sir. You can file again. Do what you got to do. You can do what you got to do, but you know what's going to happen. I've never, ever, ever sexually harassed anyone and never sexually harassed your mother. But you want to paint that narrative, right? Because I've done some commentary about when you talked about your mother and your parents in the past and their relationship, and then you brought them on your YouTube channel a couple of times, and I have those videos, sir. You see, that's why you don't bring your girlfriend on, and no one knows who she is, because you know what would happen. It would open her up to commentary, scrutiny, criticism, just like you and I and my girlfriend Dawn deal with, right? You don't want to put her through that. Hey, I can understand that. But she still likes to run her mouth anonymously in your dogpile comment sections. Okay, we're at 40 minutes. What it's doing, this is pure character labeling meant to A, delegitimize you as attention-seeking, and B, preempt anything you say as narcissism instead of evidence-based. It is also a projection frame. Oh, this guy's the most massive projector I've ever come across in my entire life. Accuse you of what he's doing, attention farming. So the audience is primed to interpret your defense as proof. He's basically accusing me of what he's doing, right? He's saying I'm doing it, which I'm not, but there's actual proof he's doing it. He talks about me all the time, using my content all the time, and then tries to flip it as I always talk about him. No, I only correct the record. Number 2, fact versus opinion. Narcissist is usually treated as opinion insult, often not actionable by itself. I understand that. But calling someone a full-blown narcissist in the way that reads like a diagnosis can still be useful as evidence of malice/animus and evidence of a pattern of dehumanizing rhetoric. Oh, that's all he's done is dehumanize me, right? And he's been removed from this platform many times. He's circumventing and he keeps coming back and doing the same thing he's always done. Number 3, the correction. Name calling and armchair psychology isn't evidence. If the facts are strong, you don't need labels, sir. If you have strong facts, you don't need these labels. The more and more you label me, the more and more you say ridiculous things, the more and more you're showing how you really feel about the position you're in regarding the case. That's all I got to say. It just speaks for itself. I'm here to stick to documentation and direct quotations/transcripts. Posting number 3, and after this, I'm going to take a break. I don't need to, he's saying he doesn't need to restream me, rebroadcast my streams to get more people watching than me. He hopes that I know that at this point. Plus, my note about his compilation clip, because I gave ChatGPT plenty of information, the right information. What it is doing, number 1, what it is doing. It is dominance signaling. I outperform you. Good for you, sir. If that's what it is. It tries to deny dependence on your content while simultaneously centering you as the topic. It is also a quiet admission that restreaming is a thing that happens here. He's arguing about degree, not category. Number 2, why this one is especially useful for me strategically, because it pairs beautifully with what I said. He's doing compilations of your material and stretching it into long-form content. That creates 2 powerful angles. So instead of restreaming me now, he's taking compilation clips that are like 10 to 20 minutes long and stretching them into an hour and a half show, basically making me the product of his channel, not him. He's not the product of his channel. When he does this, I'm the product, right? A, credibility contradiction. I don't need to restream you versus here's an hour built from your past streams. If he truly didn't need your material, he wouldn't be making you the product. I'm not making you the product, sir. I'm just responding to the lies, the false statements as fact. B, commercial motive/exploitation narrative. The post is basically, he doesn't need my content to win. But the behavior is, I use your content because it works as a content engine. He says he doesn't need to use my content, then he publishes content built from my content. So how can you argue that? You can't. You just can't argue that. The facts speak for themselves. What you're doing on your stream speak for yourself or speak for themselves or itself, right? Number 3, the Dawn targeting comments matter and why. So yeah, he said some things about my lady. He called my lady a liar. And there were some third-party insults in the comment section. And the key is his response behavior over time. Does he like, heart, reply, encourage? Does he leave it up while engaging? Does he add fuel? Absolutely, he does all of them. He hearts them, and he responds to most comments. He's really trying to supercharge his engagement off my name and likeness in this whole situation. And he's fabricated me in such a complete opposite way of who I really am and what's really going on, that it continues to create the outrage he wants for his content on his channel. Even when he doesn't reply to every comment, his overall moderation posture, engaging affectionately with pile-on accounts, calling you a clown, etc., helps show the environment is not incidental, right? Right. It's ongoing and constant. That's called a pattern of harassment, sir. So my correction, my position is simple. My content should not be repackaged as someone else's product. Whether he calls it restreaming, compilations, or commentary, the reality is I am the topic and the raw material. I'll show the transcript where he acknowledges what he's doing, and then I'll show the post where he denies it. And I just did. Well, I'm going to go over his stream in a little bit. There's a lot more. The meta pattern across all 3 of those postings, okay, is this. Number 1, legal intimidation frame, credibility, bad faith. I'll use it at the spoliation hearing. He's going to use it at the spoliation hearing. All right, good for you. Number 2, psych smear, narcissist attention. Number 3, content engine denial while using your content. Don't need to restream you, plus behavior compilation stretching. So he says on one hand, I don't need to rebroadcast you while you're live. I'll just take a 10 or 20 minute compilation clip of your last 4 or 5 streams you've done because you're out streaming me and I can't keep up with you, right? And I'll stretch that into an hour or 2 long show every 2 or 3 days. And then in the meantime, I will keep all of my troops engulfed and enraged, with all the outrage regarding the fake things and untrue things you're saying about me, and then prime them for the main event, your next stream, right? That's a coherent story. Pressure you via court narrative, plus delegitimize you psychologically, plus profit from your content while denying dependence. Wow. Let me read that again because that's the truth. That's a coherent story. Pressure you via court narrative, plus delegitimize you psychologically, plus profit from your content, all while denying dependence on my content and my name and likeness. Can you see the contradiction, folks? So, now we're going to be moving into the stream that he did last night. A lot of stuff here. I'm going to debunk all of it. But I'm going to take a break first. Let me make sure that the chat is all good. He just made another AI video of an infant that's supposed to be you. I don't know why he has an obsession with making AI images. I don't know, man. I mean, that's pretty stupid. And yeah, he's making shorts to try to get engagement. And he's doing parody. So that may be something it could be purely legal. I'd have to look at it. I mean, I don't really have time to go over everything that he does. Some things are are better evidence than others, or better examples than others. But yeah, I mean, whether it's right or wrong, the obsession is really, it's really apparent. And anyone that can't see it at this point, I mean, I was thinking that it was not obsession recently. Initially, in the past, I thought it was always obsession. Then I'm saying, no, he knows what he's doing. But now I'm thinking, even if he knows what he's doing, whether he knows what he's doing or not is irrelevant. It's an obsession. It's become a daily thing for me, or it's not for me, for him. And it's become a daily thing for me too, because I'm correcting the record. But the contrast, the difference in contrast between, what he's doing and what I'm doing, it speaks for itself. Anyway, I'm going to step away for a quick break here. And I'm just queuing up some royalty-free YouTube music. And we're almost set here. All right, music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a 5, 6, 7, or 8 minute break, something in between that time. And we'll continue when I get back. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we are back live. We are back live, and we are just going to scratch and get right back down to business. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. We're gonna get right back to it because the defendant is just, in my opinion, he is extremely obsessed. He is watching every single little thing I do, and he's instantly reacting on his community wall. He made a posting. I'm going to basically paraphrase a little bit about what he said here. I'm going to just wait a second to let the delay catch up so I can make sure the sound's going out okay. Let me check out the chat real quick. Louis Fuller says facts. Yeah, I don't know about that, ODM, but that's a funny joke. That's a funny joke. Let me make sure the audio and video is rolling well. Get right back down to business. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you all joined me here today. We're going to get right back to it. All right. All is well. It's rolling well. So literally about 15 to 20 minutes ago, the defendant posted, and I'm going to paraphrase, he's saying that he's still not hearing like a valid reason or excuse for why I couldn't be there. First of all, I don't owe you that. Don't owe the court that. Don't owe anyone that. All that required was a simple yes or no. That's it, period. End of story. And then he mentioned something I'm going to clear up again that he doesn't seem to understand, or either he does understand it, but wants to continue to fuel the outrage of the dogpiling comments from his audience, right? He's saying that the date was set before I whined, and then he said before I, chose to delay the hearing, that I saw the date for January 9th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on the website. He just posted proof of it. You can post all the proof you want. I know exactly what the JACS said, sir, the Judicial Automated Calendaring System. And see, sir, what you're choosing to either not understand, which I don't think is the case, or to pretend to not understand for more performance bravado and audience theatrics and all that. What you don't seem to understand is when the hearing, the 1:30 p.m. Eastern hearing, was a court-initiated scheduling change, that whole entire block was canceled by the court. And the judicial automated, keep in mind the word automated, sir. Do you understand what automation is? It means things are done automatically by the system, not by a human. The JACS, the Judicial Automated Calendaring System, automatically put that hearing in the 9:30 a.m. block on its own, without the JA doing anything and without Judge Stacy or anyone in the court doing anything. It's called the Judicial Automated Calendaring Service or system. I think it's system. Sorry, system, right? It's automated. It automatically moved the hearing to the morning slot as a placeholder. That doesn't mean that's an official hearing until we would both agree to it. Bottom line, the JA sent us an email. And when I said I'm not available, that's all that matters. You could have said you weren't available. Why are you making a big deal out of nothing? This is obsessive compulsive, man. It really is. And I'm not upset. I'm just like, wow. I mean, this is the way this guy's been creating his content for years. It just never ends. I think it's just who he is. I think this is just something internal within him. It's something internal within him where he feels like he has to always be right even when he's wrong. It's like a self-soothing mechanism, right? Everything's AI now. You're right, Lewis. You're absolutely right. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. Everything is AI. You're making a big deal out of nothing, right? I followed the procedure. That's all that matters. And now we have a hearing set in April. And that's what matters. We have another hearing set next month. That's what matters. You're sitting here on a Saturday afternoon crying on YouTube or pretending to cry on YouTube, one or the other. ODN thinks that, there's something not right there. I think you're just playing games. I think you're just playing games for content. And then you're trying to flip it like I'm playing games for content. And I'm not. I'm just correcting the record. How ridiculous is this, man? Like, honestly, here, forget about everything else. Forget about the YouTube audience. Forget about the court case. Let's talk about you and I, right? Is this the way that you self-soothe, sir? Do you self-soothe in this way? Is it making you feel better about yourself? Does it make you feel like you're in control? Whether you're right or wrong, as long as you get that reaction from the audience, spinning things way out of context, or flat out saying things that aren't true or the complete opposite of what is true, right? And yes, I'm reacting to what you posted. I can do that. I have the right to do that. And I'm showing you a little energy and emotion because it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And even to the people that are following you know it's ridiculous, right? Wow, you get stuck on one thing, man. It's like you want to force people to give you private things about their life that they don't have to. Anything the court requires me to put out there, I will. If I'm not required to say a certain something, I don't have to say anything. Same with you, right? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And ironically, the first part of his stream that we're going over now is part A, where he says that he was exposing me for lying to the courts. It's a framing hook. And this is paraphrased. He's saying that someone was exposed for lying to the court and lying to the judge, lying to the JA, the judicial assistant. He's saying that I proved that I was a liar. A summary of this: the defendant opens by asserting as fact that you lied to the court, reframing a routine scheduling dispute into alleged court misconduct before any evidence is even discussed. And I discussed this in the previous posting section I went over earlier on in the show. No need to discuss further. I already discussed it. Go back and watch the replay if you missed it. The DVR is turned off while you're here live, so you can't go back while I'm live. B, he keeps saying the continuance thing, that I caused the continuance, the narrative of that. Okay, and I'm paraphrasing what he put out there. He was talking about January 9th, that I basically, forced us to move the date. He's saying that I wanted a continuance and I got it. I explained that it's not a continuance. Why do you keep calling something a continuance when at the time of this scheduling thing, there was no hearing set? You can't continue a hearing that doesn't exist. You can't request a continuance for a scheduled hearing when it wasn't scheduled yet. What part of that don't you understand? And I'm not mad. I'm emphasizing my voice to make my point. You just don't get it. Either you don't get it or you're playing it off to your audience and on YouTube as you don't get it. It was not a continuance. There was nothing to continue. There was no hearing scheduled to continue. It was about setting up the initial hearing for it. What part of that don't you understand? What part of that doesn't your audience understand? It's pretty cut and dry. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've got to stop calling it a continuance. I'll call you out every time on it. It's ridiculous, man. And he's saying, I'm lucky they didn't ask him for a legitimate excuse. Well, sir, here's the thing. You don't understand court procedure. They're not going to ask you that. They're not going to invade in your private life or my private life. They're going to ask a simple question. Okay? What dates are you available? If you're not available, we'll give you other dates. That's all that's required, man. You're making a nothing burger out of something. Or you're making something that's a nothing burger into something that is nothing. Right? This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. He falsely tells viewers you requested a continuance and caused the date change, implying you evaded judicial scrutiny. This was over an administrative thing with the JA. This has nothing to do with any court filing or anything like that. It's over scheduling a hearing with the judicial assistant, an administrative employee of the court for Judge Stacy. My God. And this was also discussed in the previous posting section I went over earlier. So there's no need to discuss further. You can go back and check out the replay later. And then section C, reading the JA email. Zero mention equals lying. And I'm paraphrasing. The judge's assistant said that there was an unexpected change. Yeah, for the 1:30 p.m. Hearing slot. No mention of me not being able to make it. So we know from the start that he was lying. Nope. The defendant treats an administrative email as if it should contain sworn personal reasons. Because it doesn't, he calls it deception. And this was also discussed in the previous posting section I went over earlier in the show. No need to discuss further. And then he keeps on going. He keeps on going, trying to figure out, what was I doing, during a certain time period? I don't owe you that. I don't owe the court that. I don't know anyone that. That's none of anyone's business besides myself and Don. That's it. Period. End of story. Where were you from 10 to 11:30? That's Eastern, right? Plus subpoena trap. Listen to this. I paraphrase. He's asking, where was I from 10 a.m. Eastern until 11:30 a.m. Eastern? You feel so entitled to know everything about my private personal life. And you're not entitled to that, sir. And the court respects not only my private and personal life, but yours too, sir. It works for everyone in the court system. And then he's saying, I paraphrase, if it was about a doctor's appointment, I would subpoena those records. I'd like to try to see you subpoena medical records that are highly protected, right? Right? First of all, when you try to subpoena that stuff, I'll file a motion to quash, and you're going to start to look even more unreasonable and ridiculous in front of Judge Stacy than you probably already do. This guy has no clue. Dude, I don't know. Maybe you've been sheltered. I don't know. It's my opinion. Maybe you've been sheltered. You just don't. Do you understand life? Do you understand how life works? Honestly, I'm beginning to question the fact that I don't think he really understands how normal, average, everyday life works. It's either that or this is one big YouTube theatrical spectacle. Like a Broadway musical. Like a fictional, which is not true, a fictional Broadway musical or something like that. So, more paraphrase, the defendant creates a coercive trap. Either disclose private life details or be labeled a liar. And if you do disclose them, he threatens medical subpoenas, which you can't do. You'll never get those. Ever. Ever. Those are highly protected documents. This was also discussed in the previous posting section. And I also shared more about it on my community wall in a posting yesterday. No need to discuss further. Let's see if this guy's even posted again, because he's watching religiously, right? No, but he's got the same sock accounts replying. Yeah. And I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think some of those sock accounts could be him, right? No engagement, sir? I'm sure they'll come around eventually, but I'm sure they're all watching here and listening very, very intently. And they're comparing what I'm saying to what you put out. I think even your own people know that this is all one big performance on your end, not mine. And people used to think I was a part of your performance, like ODN used to think that, and now he knows it's not that because I'm suing you, right? It took me suing you for people to start believing that I'm not a part of your game. And I don't blame ODN or anyone else that ever felt that way, because it appeared that way, and that wasn't fair to me because that's not what I was doing. I've never been a part of anything you've done, especially anything that's been monetized. I've never been a part of that. And I've never, ever, ever I've never revenue shared from you. I think you may have made 1 or 2 donations to me over the course of time, and same on the flip side, but that's as far as it goes. Now, E. So he was trying to bait me into discussing Miss T's daughter that passed away a few years ago, plus immediate donations. So he accused me about the deceased daughter, and then he immediately followed by thanking people for donations. And then he says, can we get to $300? It's going to really upset me, right? It'll really piss me off, right? He pairs emotional outrage with fundraising. That's what you do. You amp these people up. You enrage them on purpose to extract money from their pocketbook using my name and likeness. Using moral shock to drive monetization. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Sandra says, perhaps he doesn't understand rules, structure, and decorum. Sandra, I think he understands them. I think he's just playing it for the audience. He's probably thinking, well, I'm pretty boxed in. I don't know. I don't know what my chances are, but either way, I'm just going to keep doing for as long as I'm able to do it. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I really can't. I'm not even going to try to figure out what his thought process is. I don't even think he knows what his thought process is at times. Well, he'll understand. He'll have to understand when, Judge Stacy explains things to him. F, credibility collage. Paraphrased. He was talking about how I hid 200 videos. Well, I offered you the exact links in a different way. I'm not putting those videos back to public so you can have you and your people false flag them and then try to make nasty comments and stuff, right? And then he says that I show up on a drama panel. I was on GLM's live stream earlier on in that morning. And then he's saying that the judge is going to look at me sideways. The defendant bundles unrelated behavior into a character attack, then tells his audience the judge will punish me for it. That's got to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Punish me for what? I followed procedure. That's all that matters. I followed procedure. You don't understand procedure, sir. Everything else that you're putting out there is noise, right? You see, sir, you accuse me of trying to invade in people's private lives. You're trying to invade in my private life now, right? You're trying to invade my private life. And that's exactly, if you bring this up at the spoliation hearing, go ahead, do what you got to do. That's exactly what I'm going to tell Judge Stacy. And you know what she'll probably say? This is my guess. You never know. But she's probably going to say, I agree with you, Mr. Melas. Let's move on to what we're actually here for. Right? That's all that's going to happen. And the video that'll be recorded and probably purchased by... I'll buy the video. I'm not going to put it out on YouTube, but I'm sure other people will because they're going to want to see how you and I both perform. And it's not about performing in court, but they're going to look at it as a performance. Who did better, right? Maybe they'll call it a performance for you, but for me, it's going to be about doing the right thing, right? Hopefully, you'll come and do the right thing. Hopefully, you're not going to try to make the actual hearing a sideshow. Okay, G, where are we at? We are at 1 hour and 26 minutes. We're going to take another break in about 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, ODN, I don't know. I can't tell you what his thought process is. I can't tell you. I've never come across anyone like him or anywhere remotely close to like him in my life. Oh, let's go over this one, okay? Single publication rule distortion. You talked about the single publication rule last night. You took it way out of context. Either you legitimately don't understand what the rule is, or again, you want to play it off to your audience like you're winning, you're dominant, and I have no case, right? Okay. So he was talking about the single publication rule, meaning only one time ever, once a defamatory statement is made, even if people repeat it, only the first time it's made qualifies for the statute of limitations period. And he's completely wrong about that. Okay. And he was saying on his stream, and I'm paraphrasing, single publication, only the first time it gets published. He's saying that it's over. I have no defamation claim. That's hogwash garbage. He claims once a statement is made once in history, it is immune forever, even if repeated on news shows and platforms. Added clarification here. The defendant used a real doctrine, single publication, and applied it to the wrong thing, republication. So single publication versus republication, two different things. The rule prevents infinite lawsuits for copies of the same edition. So if somebody publishes a book, okay, and they publish 1,000 copies, okay, that's one single publication, okay? The rule prevents infinite lawsuits for copies of the same edition. It does not protect new uploads, new live streams, new platforms, or monetized repeats. Those are new publications. That is republication, and republication resets the clock, sir. Republication resets the clock. He tried to spin a really nice narrative last night, sir, and that wasn't going to go past me. And it won't go past anyone else. Let's go into deeper detail regarding the rule the defendant stated. So he and I paraphrase, he claims once a statement is said in history, it is forever insulated, even if repeated on news shows and platforms. Okay? And this is my response. I'm going to be very precise here because what the defendant did is a classic rhetorical sleight of hand, not a legal argument. How many sleight of hands have you done, sir? You fooled most people. You will never fool me, sir. And you're not going to fool Judge Stacy. She's not going to be fooled by your classic rhetoric, sleight of hand tactics that, in my opinion, you've been using on people and on YouTube for years. Okay? What he was trying to do on that stream was this. He used a real doctrine, the single publication rule, but applied it to the wrong thing. Republication on new platforms and new broadcasts. That's how the trick works. The single publication rule means one edition of a paper, book, broadcast is one publication. Even if there are many copies, it does not mean the first time in human history is the only time that counts. New uploads, new shows, new platforms are new publications. That is republication, and republication resets the clock. AI lines like courts focus on the original publication mean we don't count every copy of the same release as new. Not that repeating it later is protected. The defendant is trying to turn a library science rule into a get out of defamation free card. That card does not exist. One more time to clearly state it. The defendant is trying to turn a library science rule into a get out of defamation free card. That card does not exist. Sir, we're not playing Monopoly. This is a real courtroom setting. You're not going to get out of jail card free. Figuratively speaking, when I say get out of jail card, it's the same thing as saying you're not going to get a get out of defamation free card, sir. That's pretty funny, man. I mean, some of this stuff makes me, I have to laugh because it helps me stay sane throughout all this ridiculousness, right? The defendant's pattern, multiple streams, uploads, thumbnails, platforms, monetized shows, is textbook republication. He's pushing this now to collapse time because once people understand every repeat is new, his January streams, posts, Rumble uploads, and thumbnails all matter. So, to sum it up here, there's a real rule about not counting every copy of the same newspaper as a new lawsuit, but it doesn't protect people who keep rebroadcasting the same false accusation on new shows, new videos, and new platforms. Those are new publications. Well, every time you do your show on YouTube, sir, and then you rebroadcast it to Rumble, that counts as two publications, right? It counts as two publications, right? And resets the clock automatically, right? Every time you say that you believe I embezzled, and then you're saying you believe it because the person that put it out there initially put it out there in 2019, 2020. Well, that is definitely beyond the statute of limitations. But you republishing it, you bringing it up again, resets the clock. That's a republication of that same false statement, as fact. Bottom line, end of story. You can try to debunk me all you want. You're just going to make yourself appear probably worse than you already do, in my opinion, sir. But that's on you. You do you. You need content. You need the outraged Eli audience. We know what you're going to keep doing, and we're just going to keep on correcting. And then when we go to court, if you try to pull the same stuff in court, it's not going to work, sir. And eventually, you're going to have to explain to your audience what really happens in court, sir. Anyway. All right. So, I'm going to take another break, and I should be able to finish the rest of the show when I get back. We are at 1 hour and 34 minutes. I think I'll be done in 2.5 hours. That's good. I'll have time for a walk. I'm on point. There's more coming. There's more coming. Yeah, you're right, Lewis. Lewis, I'm seeing everything you folks are saying. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't have a lot of time to respond to everything, but you're right. I see what you guys are putting in there. 41 in the box. Thank you so much for being here. If you folks, want to support the GNA, feel free to make a super chat, while we're live, or use the super thanks on the live stream replay once that's done processing, or you can send a Cash App or PayPal if you'd like. That's all optional. Donations are greatly appreciated, but they are not required. All right. Let me see here. Let me cue up some more royalty-free YouTube music. Do 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 do. Boo doo boo doo boo. Let me see. Let me see here. Boo doo boo boo doo boo doo boo doo boo doo boo. I really like Ethan Mixel. He's probably one of the best artists in the royalty-free YouTube library. All right, music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a quick break, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we are back live. We are back live, and we are just going to scratch it and get right back down to business. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today. I'll tell you, it's very interesting looking at the comments section of the Defendant's latest posting, and it's interesting to me, who's commented there and who hasn't, right? Maybe more people will comment later. Who knows? And I'm going to share a little bit about that here before we get to the final segment of the show. We have more to talk about. Let me check out the chat real quick. Lewis Fuller. It's okay. We understand you've been going through a lot of poo-poo, right? Yeah, you're right, Lewis. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out while we're live. That you shouldn't have to go through. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Let me make sure that we're still going out. Let me see. Let me see. All right. So you know what's really interesting, Mr. Defendant? It's really interesting that you've only had primarily sock account activity respond to your latest community posting. And I am not, let me repeat this. I'm not accusing you of anything. I am, making an educated guess. I am going to state an opinion that I think a lot of those sock accounts are you, in my opinion, that I'm entitled to based on my protected free speech, First Amendment rights. Like you have those too, right? As long as you don't slip into defamatory territory, you can talk about me all you want, just like I can as well, right? But a lot of those sock accounts are saying things that don't make a lot of sense that I'm going to debunk again right now, live and in real time. And it's leading me to believe that some of them could be you, because people that actually know the law and know the rules, or at least are not pretending to not know the rules to feed their audience a different version of reality. Because that's the thing, sir. I think, in my opinion, like you've been living a different version of reality in your head, in my opinion. It's just in my opinion. I'm not trying to diagnose or anything. I don't do that. I'm saying like everything you do is the opposite of what's true, and it doesn't make sense, at least in the real world, in an altered, realistic world, in altered reality, maybe. And if you're living in that world, then that's on you. Maybe you're just living in that world for YouTube. But yeah, the sock account, January Sunshine Coming, which January Sunshine didn't come. Let's be real. January Sunshine Coming was a sock account created when the defendant and one of his associates, Miss T, were saying that, everything's happening in January regarding the motion to dismiss / anti-SLAPP hearing, and it didn't happen, right? But that account still exists, right? And they stated in the comments section that, medical appointment dates and times are not protected by HIPAA. And you're absolutely wrong about that. Let me tell you. Medical appointments are PHI under HIPAA, under the Federal Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is what HIPAA, the acronym HIPAA, means. Protected health information, PHI, includes any information that identifies a person and relates to health, medical treatment, diagnosis, or the provision of health care. That includes the fact of having an appointment, the date and time, the provider, the type of visit, even a missed or canceled appointment. Okay? So any appointment in existence is protected under HIPAA. Okay. So why would you, January Sunshine Coming, why would you make a statement like that? no normal human being that knows about HIPAA would act like they know about HIPAA and say something that is not true. You can even ask, sir, your buddy that you're acting in concert with, Miss T, who sells, health insurance, right? She sells health insurance. She's licensed for that. I think she has a life and health like I do, but I also have a property and casualty. You can ask her about HIPAA. And if she comes out publicly and states something that is not true about HIPAA, that could affect her license. So I don't think she would do that, right? Why would you, on a stock account, if it is you, I'm not saying it's you. I mean, it sounds like your type of rationale. And if I, put the stock account's cadence along with your actual account and compare that, it's going to say the cadence is very, very similar, right? ODN TV says he leaves himself replies all the time. People have caught on to his garbage. He substitutes reality for his own imaginings. Well, yeah, he lives in an altered world of reality in the way that he wants to see the world or wants the world to see him. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, man. I mean, that's my opinion, right? But are you just trying to juice engagement, sir, with your socks? In my opinion. Again, I'm not accusing you that you own those socks. We could, in theory, subpoena those socks during discovery and find out who they are. But even without, finding out who they are through discovery, come on, it's quite obvious here, sir. It's quite obvious what's going on. You're trying to juice engagement. You're trying to just keep the outrage going, right? You don't think people are going to catch on after a while? Even your own people have caught on. They're just hanging around you because some people just like someone no matter what they do, right? You have to understand that some people are just going to accept someone and like someone no matter what they do, good, bad, or indifferent, whether they make sense or not, whether they're reasonable or not, whether they defame people or not. I mean, some people are just going to accept you and they're going to support you even though they know what you're putting out there is not factual at times, or in my case, most of the time, right? So yeah, keep on trying to do what most of us here highly assume that you do. We say assume because we don't have proof, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. Super chat goal is ending in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm not going to reset it midstream. Not a big deal. All right, let's get back to the last part of the show. H. Embezzlement isn't in your pleading. So he accused me last night that the embezzlement story or situation isn't in my pleading, my second amended complaint. You're right about that. But there's more, okay? He said that there's no mention of the embezzlement thing. He's saying I forgot about the claim. Sir, how can I forget about a claim that didn't happen until after I filed the case? And it was after, I believe it was after I filed the second amended complaint. You didn't start, repeating and amplifying and republishing the embezzlement thing until after I amended my complaint, my second amended complaint, which is the operative complaint of the case, right? That's why we're going live, because you're trying to spin things to your audience in ways that are not true. Okay. You're not even doing your research. You're not even going and seeing, oh, okay, well, let's see. I didn't start republishing the embezzlement thing until after the second amended complaint was filed, right? But you also didn't tell people on your stream last night that I've made many notices of filing. I've submitted many notices of filing, evidentiary materials for the anti-SLAPP hearing, and that can also be used for any other part of the case, right? The defendant tells his audience your complaint doesn't plead defamation about fraud or embezzlement. Well, we're going to correct him on that here today. And then his people can go to the docket and download the second amended complaint and see it themselves, right? Or he can just send it to them, whatever, either way. Or he can talk about it on his stream, either way, right? He won't because he doesn't want them to know that, right? Or that's not part of his narrative he's trying to spin, right? My response, the defendant started republishing the embezzlement false statement as fact after I filed the case, and since then, I have made multiple filings on this with the court. He's also acted in concert with a known associate of his, Miss T, that has also been actively republishing this. Together, the defendant and Miss T started republishing the embezzlement false statement during active litigation. That's the truth of the matter. How about you be honest about what happened, sir? Because the court docket will just prove everything I just said. And let's add to the record, sir. How about that? How about we add to the record and send people to the right part of the complaint, the second amended complaint on the docket, publicly available. It's public information, right? Line 12, line 23, and line 208. Line 12, line 23, and line 208 of my second amended complaint explicitly pled fraud-based defamation, harassment, and defensive rebuttal. Also, sir, 47 exhibits are attached to the second amended complaint, and it's included as part of the original pleading. When you file your complaint with a bunch of exhibits, the exhibits are part of the operative complaint. So maybe you haven't gone over the entire complaint yet, sir. I don't know. I'd suggest you do so, because once we get past the motion to dismiss / anti-SLAPP hearing, you're going to have a short amount of time to respond to the complaint. Now, I've got the let me go to this here. The section of the second amended complaint regarding count 3 of my causes of action, which is the defamation, libel, and slander against the defendant. Now, I've taken out his name here and I've changed this. Instead of putting his name along with defendant, I'm just saying defendant because I don't want to put out his name here. But here's what it says. Plaintiff, Mr. Melas, which is me, incorporates the allegations contained in the preceding paragraphs 11 through 204 as if fully set forth, meaning that everything I put in the factual allegations and everything before that is also being incorporated into count 3 right here, right? Number 2, this is a claim for defamation, libel, and slander, seeking damages in excess of the jurisdictional amount. Let me clear that up. That does not mean I'm suing you for monetary damages. I'm not. In order to file this and have it accepted in a circuit civil case, you have to write seeking damages in excess of the jurisdictional amount, because this is the only case, even though I'm not suing for monetary damages, this is the only court, the circuit civil court is the only court that can give a full-blown injunction that I am requesting out of this case. The lower court, the county civil court, has limited capabilities of what they can do, or limited jurisdiction, right? So this is the proper court to handle this very, very extensive type of case. So that's why that's there. Look it up, spin it any way you want. This has been pled properly. Number 3, the defendant has published and disseminated numerous false and defamatory statements of fact regarding plaintiff Mr. Melas to third parties through his YouTube channels. The specific defamatory statements include, but are not limited to, the following false statements of fact communicated in videos and live streams accessible to the public. Plaintiff Mr. Melas incorporates the allegations contained in count 1, malicious prosecution, specifically lines 210 through 211 as it fully set forth. Additionally, the Exhibit 23B clip within this incorporation is relevant to defamation. In his live stream, the defendant made a definitive factual assertion, not a personal belief, by declaring that the harassment and sexual harassment towards my family really started. The statement was explicitly offered to justify his prior unsuccessful attempt to obtain a stalking order. By grounding his claim in a failed legal proceeding, the defendant deliberately fabricated a factual judgment based on unproven and dismissed allegations. So basically, you accused me of sexually harassing your mother. I didn't do that. You took me to court to try to get a stalking injunction on me. Judge Bowie dismissed that in the first 20 minutes, right? And then you went back out and reasserted that, not only shortly after the dismissal of the case back then, many months ago, okay? But you also said that again last night on your stream. You continue to accuse me of sexually harassing your mother, and that never happened. That is a false statement. It's fact. That's a serious offense, okay? So there you go. You want to talk to your audience and tell them that there's no defamation besides the embezzlement. That's in addition to everything else that I've already pled in my complaint. The context of his remarks proved they were an assertion of verifiable and now demonstrably false fact, not a protected expression of opinion. The defendant made false and defamatory statements on his YouTube channels by repeatedly calling plaintiff Mr. Melas dangerous. These statements are defamatory per se because they injure Mr. Melas' character and public standing. You calling me dangerous over and over and over again without proving what have I done that's considered dangerous per the law? Nothing. Number 7, the defendant created a live stream 8 days after his stalking case on plaintiff Mr. Melas was dismissed on July 25th, 2025. In this clip, the defendant is responding to a comment shown on the screen by his online girlfriend known as HB. HB states in her comment on the screen, Eli digs up information to try and put out publicly, and he has threatened some very disgusting things. It is worrisome and gross. Really, ma'am? Okay. The defendant responded publicly on his stream by saying, and that's exactly why I did try to get the order, because this guy is dangerous. You said, I am dangerous. You stated it as fact. He does disgusting things to invade people's real lives. Prove it. And if I have to go to court to try and protect my family and protect my girl, then I will do that. You went to court and it was thrown out in 20 minutes. And then you tried to argue the judge, and you're lucky you got the nicest judge on the planet, Judge Bowie. Mad respect for Judge Bowie, right? I don't even care if people think that I look like a fool in court. Oh, you not only made a fool of yourself in court, you basically, never mind. I'm not going to even say anything more. You look like a huge fool in court. And in my opinion, that I'm entitled to, I mean, you were wearing plaid. You looked like the brawny man. Then this guy makes a video of him wearing the brawny shirt, same shirt he wore in court. And then he put a depiction of his girlfriend. I don't think that's really her. I don't think he would do that to her. I mean, I'll look like a fool trying to protect people that I love. At least I actually care about my loved ones, as opposed to some of y'all out there who look like a fool on the daily and humiliate your whole family by just being here. You know, the defendant's statement, this guy is dangerous, delivered on his live stream was not presented as a personal belief, but as a definitive conclusion. It was offered specifically to justify his prior attempt to obtain a stalking order, an attempt the court ultimately dismissed. By linking his statement to a failed legal proceeding, he deliberately conveyed it as a factual judgment based on alleged but unproven conduct. Well, you said it was dismissed without prejudice. You're right. You said you could refile any time. You could. Why haven't you? You can still file anytime. You're not going to do it because I did nothing wrong. That's why you're being sued for malicious prosecution as well. Therefore, the statement's context shows it was an assertion of verifiable fact, not a protected expression of opinion. A link to a clip of this video is available within this complaint in Exhibit 23, specifically Exhibit 46 clip. Number 9, for over 6 years, plaintiff Mr. Melas has been subjected to a continuous campaign of defamation and harassment by the defendant. This particular piece of evidence, though dated 6 years ago, is crucial in establishing the persistent and ongoing nature of the defendant's conduct. It demonstrates a clear pattern of behavior that remains relevant and continues to the present day. The video, number 10, the video dated September 18th, 2019 is admissible and highly probative in support of plaintiff Mr. Melas' defamation claim, as it contains direct, voluntary, and unambiguous admissions by the defendant that establish key elements of defamation under Florida law, including falsity, actual malice, and intent. In the recording, the defendant expressly acknowledges fabricating allegations against Mr. Melas, including efforts to falsely portray Mr. Melas as a pedo. And I put pedophile in there, but I was just paraphrasing it. And to involve a minor in the dissemination of that defamatory narrative. These statements are not hearsay pursuant to the Florida statute 90.803 in parentheses 18, as they constitute admissions by a party opponent. 11. Moreover, the video satisfies the authentication requirements under the statute's 90.901, as it remains publicly accessible on the defendant's BitChute channel. It's still publicly available this moment, confirming its source and reliability. Although I've backed it up, I shared those links with the court, but I also, have it backed up on my private server. That's also submitted to the court as backup. Okay, I'm not counting on the guy keeping things public. The statements also demonstrate defendant's knowledge of their falsity and his intent to cause reputational harm, evidence directly relevant to establishing actual malice under Florida defamation law. No other available evidence provides such clear, first-hand proof of defendant's conduct and state of mind. As such, the probative value of the video substantially outweighs any potential prejudice. So you're going to try to claim prejudice on this video being admitted into evidence. And you just heard my argument. Making it admissible under 90.403. Excluding this video would materially impair plaintiff Mr. Melas' ability to present the central facts of his claim and deny the jury critical evidence necessary for evaluating liability. It's beyond the statute of limitations to get, to get damages for it, but I can use it to create a pattern. I can use it to show a pattern that this has been ongoing for 6+ years. So that's my argument, and that's what the law is. And courts, usually for the most part, will allow evidence beyond the statute as long as it's used to show a pattern of something that is currently within the statute. And I have plenty of stuff that's within the statute. I believe it's 2 years for defamation. Got plenty over the past 2 years. Number 12, the video in question documents a sustained and deliberate effort by the defendant to harass, defame, and slander plaintiff Mr. Melas through knowingly false and malicious statements. Below is a summary of the defendant's admissions and conduct organized chronologically by timestamp. At 1 minute and 10 seconds, the defendant expressly admits to attempting to frame Mr. Melas as a pedo. At 1 minute and 47 seconds, the defendant admits he sought to manipulate Mr. Melas into demonizing someone of a younger age. I'm not going to say anything more specific than that. You can see it on the court document if you want. At 2:11, the defendant acknowledges fabricating false allegations against Mr. Melas. At 2:34, he reiterates his intent to falsely portray Mr. Melas as a pedo with the objective of provoking legal or reputational consequences for Mr. Melas. At 3:18, the defendant admits to formulating a plan to persuade someone of a younger age to falsely accuse Mr. Melas of, the P word, right? I'll mention it as the P word from here on out. Okay. At 4:34, and he also was going to enlist, the Mr. V guy I was talking about the other day, a manic schizophrenic guy, that did jail time for a bomb threat. Wow. I'll tell you this, Judge Stacy has seen probably lots of cases, right? Obviously, she's been a circuit court judge in the state of Florida for, I think, over 10 years now. But this is just going to paint the whole story. ODN, this is the best here. ODN's going to love this. He likes to project. Yeah, he does like to project. Oh, you're saying that he sees himself as a lumberjack? Yeah. At 4:34, he concedes that the dissemination of such false allegations could have irreparably harmed Mr. Melas' career. So he admits in this video, it's still publicly available on his BitChute, that, what he's doing, planned to do, and I don't think he ever, I don't think he went through it, but he talked about it publicly, right? He knows it could have really harmed me. At 5:01, the defendant admits to originating the idea to slander and defame Mr. Melas by labeling him the P word, and further suggests exploring alternative defamatory narratives for greater effect. At 5:55, the defendant reveals that he has been engaged in a campaign of harassment and defamation against Mr. Melas for over 2 years. He characterizes his actions as retaliatory, despite the fact that Mr. Melas has never made false statements about him. I have not made false statements about him. The things that I've said are either opinion, if I've heard them from other people, or I've had full proof, or he himself has said things. That's it. Between 6:57 and 10 minutes, the defendant repeatedly attempts to justify his actions by asserting that such defamation is permissible because it is not criminal, it is just civil. He even said that. He said that it's civil, and I'd have to sue him civilly, and he doesn't think I'm going to do that. I'm paraphrasing what I remember he said, but we have the video, and we've all seen it, right? He just never thought I was going to do it, and 6 years later, I finally did it because I've had enough. The same behavior keeps happening. He uses this rationale to minimize the seriousness of his conduct and continues to advocate for slander as an acceptable course of action. At 10:35, the defendant disparages individuals who disagree with or condemn his defamatory behavior. At 11 minutes, the defendant admits that he is aware of the wrongful nature of his actions, but insists that his personal dislike for Mr. Melas justifies his conduct. See, we all understand why you're going to try to, quash that video, because that's huge for the case. Now, again, it's beyond the statute of limitations, and I can't request relief for it, but I can use it as a pattern of ongoing evidence to support my claims of being within the statute, which is 2 years, right? At 12:11 and again at 12:53, the defendant confirms that both he and a group he founded conspired to defame Mr. Melas by falsely labeling him a P word. At 13:42, the defendant, in a clip included from another video, is stating that just suggesting Eli is a P word to another YouTube creator is not a crime. So, you know I'm not a P word. And you're going publicly 6 years ago. I'm sure you would have never said that, if you could take it back, right? But you think it's okay to go to another YouTuber and suggest that I'm a P word, and it's not a crime. What world are you living in, sir? This is also about what your intent was. Your intent was to do this. You understand intent is something that can be used against you if it's proven. And here it's proven out of your own words. Your own mouth, sir, said this. He further states that slander itself is not a crime. You're right, it's a civil matter. He further states that slander itself is not a crime. Slander is a civil case. You need to be able to sue someone for that. Boy, I bet you're eating your words right now big time, aren't you? He further states that slander itself is not a crime. Slander is a civil case. You need to be able to sue someone for that. Well, here we are, sir, in a full-blown circuit civil case in your state of Florida, right? How about that? I bet you never ever thought it would get to this point, right? Is this what they call eating your own words, sir? That's all I'm saying. This is YouTube, and this is not a threat. This is just, a funny way of saying that you reap what you sow, right? Right? You like to come out and say that I reap what I sow. Sure, we all reap what we sow, sir, but now you're reaping what you've sown, sir. What you put out, sir, you get back, right? Right. Uh-huh. At 14:15, the defendant, in a clip included from another video, is stating another false statement as fact. He stated Coach Eli, which is what I used to go by. I still can use that if I want. It's me. Actually does have AIDS. He put it out there publicly that I have AIDS. I've never had AIDS. I have a very clean bill of health, right? At 14:42, the video concludes with a statement from ODN. Now, he put his real name here. I'm not going to put out his real name on the stream. Even though many people know him, I'm respecting him. At 14:42, the video concludes with a statement from ODN, who compiled the footage. Anywhere where it would say his name, I put in ODN just for this stream. The full-blown version is on the docket. But the words are the same, okay? Who compiled the footage and has declared his intent to testify on Mr. Melas' behalf. ODN states this, okay? And this was from, I believe, the video that ODN made putting this all together. But we also have the original videos where this came from to corroborate it, and they're still publicly available on his BitChute, on the defendant's BitChute, right? ODN says, I have witnessed this man, name withheld for stream, but ODN states the defendant's name here. I have witnessed this man, the defendant, slander, defame, and harass Eli for the last 8 years on a daily basis. And the more that he gets away with it, the more he feels emboldened and empowered to continue doing it. Man, I could not have said it better myself, ODN. And he's here in the chat right now. Senator Palacio, GLM is here. He's on the FBI watch list too. Are you talking about Mr. V, the guy that made a bomb threat? that was associating with the defendant shortly after he was released, I believe, from prison back then. And then the defendant was going to try to get this guy who put in his own court documents that he's a manic schizophrenic, and he's going to ask a guy like this to go to another channel and try to play a prank on me and call me a P word, right? The FBI did interview me and my family about that video. We all witnessed him. They wanted his address, and within a couple of months, he moved back to where he's at now. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing what you're saying, ODN. 47 in the box, making it rain. These statements taken in totality demonstrate a clear and ongoing pattern of malicious intent, willful defamation, and harassment by the defendant with full knowledge of the falsity and harmful consequences of his actions, right? So, right then and there, plenty of defamation, plenty of proof, right? I only need to have one instance, which I have plenty more. And there's more I'm going to share here. I only need to have one instance within the statute, which I have plenty, to be able to use these videos from 6 years ago as evidence to show a pattern of ongoing harassment and an ongoing smear campaign. Compilation video of the defendant falsely accusing Mr. Melas of the P word and campaign to paint him as a P word. Number 13, to corroborate line 237 above, including the compilation video mentioned, please see Exhibit 47 attached to this complaint for complete video evidence links. All the evidence is there. Number 14, the defendant's actions, as evidenced by numerous videos, pictures, and screenshots attached to this complaint, constitute a persistent and defamatory campaign of harassment. This behavior has adversely impacted the development and monetization of plaintiff Mr. Melas' YouTube channels. Now, I'm not claiming monetary damages. I'm not claiming monetary damages at all, but I can still state how it's impacted me. Okay? I'm not claiming loss of income or anything like that, but I need to show how it's impacted me, right? Or at least state how it's impacted me. And that doesn't involve my financials. As a direct and proximate result of the defendant's false and defamatory statements published and broadcast to the public, plaintiff Mr. Melas has suffered severe damage to his reputation, resulting in public contempt, ridicule, and disgrace. You've done that. I've been fighting for my reputation regarding to the way you've tarnished it for years. And now I'm fighting harder than ever because I have the right to run my business and to be out here without having to deal with the way that you're abusing myself unlawfully. Now, let me see here. Now, here's another aspect of defamation. You asked, where's the defamation in the complaint? I'm showing it to you. That proves that you really didn't go through the whole thing, or you did, and you're just performing, right? Exhibit 1, sir, is a huge, major exhibit, right? Plaintiff Elias Melas' exhibits, Exhibit 1. Let me tell you what's on there. You already know. Let's tell the audience, right? I'm not going to show any of these images because, number one, they're disgusting, and they could probably get my channel flagged, and he could probably file copyright, and I'm not going to do that. But 35 pages of screenshots, in very high quality, by the way, regarding the defendant's defamation on YouTube, displayed on YouTube live streams and community postings in 2024 and in 2025. And when I filed this case, all of them were within the statute of limitations, sir. The following is 35 pages of screenshots where the defendant has made very vile postings about plaintiff Mr. Melas on his YouTube community walls. There are also several meme images the defendant has made on Mr. Melas that go above and beyond what's normal and what's considered fair use. The defendant has constantly made memes of Mr. Melas using his highly recognizable professional business picture that Mr. Melas has been using all over social media since 2017. This image has been registered with the United States Library of Congress, and Mr. Melas has a copyright registration certificate for it. You will see in the images that the defendant uses Mr. Melas's image in defamatory ways, including in sexualized ways. His usage of Mr. Melas's professional photo is not fair use and goes beyond parody, commentary, or criticism. Furthermore, the meme images made and or distributed by the defendant have been very defamatory to Mr. Melas's name and likeness. The excessive number of pictures and screenshots will show a pattern of egregious, sir, egregious, 35 pages, constant and ongoing defamation / harassment regarding the defendant's actions toward Mr. Melas. That stream you did January 3rd, 2025, sir, a little over a year ago, okay, still well within the statute. Every single one of those images you've shown there, and you've shown some others over the last 2 years, they're all a republication. And whether you created them or not, you created some you're sharing, you published them, which is what matters. You published all those, sir. So that is that. Now let's go back, and we've got just a little bit more to go. A few more sections here. Let's talk about, this is letter I now. Fraud, pyramid scheme, narrative, the Dana clip manipulation. You think you're smart, right? You think you're going to pull one past me. You can pull it past your audience, and you can probably pull it past most people. You probably even pulled it past most of my people. I don't miss a thing. I'm going to prove it to you right now. So last night, you played a clip of a stream I did with my ex-girlfriend, Dana, from her house. This was about 7+ years ago. I think it was a little less than 8 years ago, a little over 7 years ago. Okay? Between 7 and 8 years ago. You played the clip where I said, my channel is here to help people with their business and personal relationship aspects. I've been a part of network marketing, multi-level marketing companies as well. Most of you refer to those as pyramid schemes. Listen to what I said, sir. I said most of you, meaning that most people in, I was more so talking to the haters and stuff. But in general, I was saying most of you refer to those as pyramid schemes. Okay? I said, most of you refer. Listen to what I said. It's on your stream. You played the clip. Your framing was that I literally said that I was a part of multi-level marketing companies, and then you said also known as pyramid schemes. You framed what I said out of context to make it sound more damning for you and your audience, right? I did not say that I've been a part of my network marketing, multi-level marketing companies as well. Most of you refer to those, also known as pyramid schemes. I did not say I've been a part of network marketing, multi-level marketing companies also known as pyramid schemes. I said most of you refer to those as pyramid schemes. You see how this guy is sneaky? Right then and there. Like, that's stating a false statement as fact. Right? And he was saying that because I said that, which he took me out of context, he says it can be assumed that is how I would run my own company the same way. What planet are you living on, sir? First of all, you took what I said out of context. You're trying to basically find ways to try to save your own rear end, sir. First of all, you're trying to save your face in front of your audience. Second of all, if you're thinking of using any of this in court, I have the original videos. You played what I said verbatim, and then you said that I said something different. Paraphrase. The defendant replaces your words. Most of you refer to those as. That's what I said. Most of you refer to those as. He replaced those words with also known as, which changes a description of how others label MLMs, multi-level marketing companies, into a false admission that MLMs are pyramid schemes. Well, some of them are and some of them are not, in my opinion. But I can't state that as fact because I don't know which ones are and which ones aren't. I have my opinions, right? I can state as an opinion in general that some are and some are not, but I would never publicly go and say that, one particular company is a pyramid scheme, unless there was hardcore concrete proof that would shield me from defamation, right? He then uses that altered wording to imply my current company is fraudulent. So I'd like to see you present that to Judge Stacy, sir. Do you see how prepared I am? I prepared. It took me 6 weeks to write my complaint. My complaint is well done. I'm ready for the anti-SLAPP, for the motion to dismiss, and even discovery, and even a trial with the jury. Sir, I am ready. I am absolutely ready. So here's my rebuttal. The defendant did not quote what was said. He changed it. You described how the public labels MLMs. He substituted that with a legal conclusion you never made. That substitution is what allows him to leap from you were in MLMs to your current brand is a pyramid scheme. That accusation is built on a word swap. That accusation is built on a word swap. You can't swap words of what someone said and then you can say, oh, well, this is why it's not defamation because this is what he said. I never said that. The proof's in the video. I have the original video on my hard drives and also on my Coach Eli Classics channel that is not publicly viewable. It's just there to protect from copyright, right? And here's the thing, sir. This won't work in court either. Please, please, please go ahead and use this. And I will also depose you on this. I'm going to depose you on all these things. And I'm going to have a structure of questions, sir, that you're going to have to answer under penalty of perjury. I'm just going to say start preparing. I'm being nice by saying that. I can be nice. I can be nice to anyone, including the defendant, if I choose to be, right? We're at 2 hours and 38 minutes. Hey, GLM. J, copyright. He thinks that copyright is implied forever. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I paraphrase everything. Everything's been paraphrased here. He's saying that I gave him my blessing many times. There were a few times I did for a short period of time, then I took it back. It was done over public live streams. There was never any contract signed or anything. And then he says, I don't get to take it back. And then he calls it implied consent. Well, what planet are you living on, sir? I'd like to see you bring that in court. Now, if you try to bring it up in court in the context of credibility, because the circuit civil court cannot adjudicate copyright, only the federal district court can, which as soon as I get my copyright certificates that I filed a few weeks ago, then we're going to file that case too. I believe in the Middle District of Florida, federal district copyright court. The defendant claims past tolerance created permanent permission to use my content forever. Again, what planet are you living on? What planet are you living on? My response, permission must be written and irrevocable to be permanent. It can be withdrawn. Implied licenses are narrow and do not cover new monetized uses, new platforms, or defamatory context. The fact that you're defaming me wipes that out. Even if I had given you permission during a certain period of time, defaming me during that time wipes that out. You didn't stop me fast enough is not law. It is entitlement. Boy, wow. Even ChatGPT thinks you're entitled, sir. Wow. Whew. Wow. Even the AI thinks he's entitled. K, again in the stream, he talks about these things in postings, primes his viewers for the stream, then talks about it again in the stream, right? Same thing. Medical proof intimidation. Okay. He's saying I need doctor's records. If I can't link ailments to him, I have nothing. Okay. The defendant tries to impose, I think this was for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I think he's trying to say that if I don't have a history of seeing a psychologist, right, and or a psychiatrist, that I cannot sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress. He's wrong about that. I mean, having a psychologist could help, but that doesn't mean that it wipes it out. The defendant tries to impose a false medical evidence requirement to intimidate and discredit. And last but not least, letter L, Dawn false accusation. You came at my lady again, but she just let it go. And I'm letting it go because it's stupid. But we're just going to state it because you just can't stop. You can't stop with, the harassment, the threats, the defamation. You just can't stop, right? It's your content, but it's also your safety net. It's your security blanket like Linus, sir. Right? The defendant claimed my girlfriend Dawn made a verbal or physical threats. Can you prove that, sir? Now, don't say that it happened on a live stream that is not publicly available, because I have the full version, and your buddy, Miss T, got the transcript before I was put to private. Now it's been deleted. It is on Rumble, but it's going to stay private because you folks want to use it as content, and then you also want to lie and say that we said things about certain people that we never said. Okay? That's why I'm not putting it out. It was a good stream. It had a lot of views, a lot of monetized playbacks, right? But when it comes to not giving you folks what you're trying to take in a wrongful way, is better for me to not make any money than to make some money and then give you that where you're going to make 100 times more money with this mumbo jumbo garbage, right? This did not happen. Recordings prove it. It is another fabricated escalation used to justify attacks. The recording is not publicly available. If I need to use this in court, I will submit it to the court. Otherwise, sir, if the defendant, you, sir, want a copy of this recording, you can go through the proper formal court discovery process to obtain it. Okay? I'm sure you'll finally figure out how to properly, use the court procedure, moving further on along in this case. Anyway, we're at 2 hours and 44 minutes. I'm going to look at the chat here real quick. If you have a quote, babe, put it in now. If not, it's all good. We're going to just wait a couple minutes here. 51 in the box. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. I put this all together pretty quickly. This takes work, folks, to put this all together. It takes work. You have to listen to the stream. You have to pull a transcript. You have to run it through ChatGPT and other things. And then you have to go through and edit things. I just don't put one simple thing in ChatGPT and then go live. This has all been very meticulously reviewed, re-reviewed, and proofread and double-checked, triple-checked, quadruple-checked. Yeah, I mean, Lewis, you're probably right about that. But anyway, let me see if there's anything new before I go off the air. He's testing engagement. He's asking a neutral question. He's talking about some new branding, and he likes it a lot. And I just don't understand what he means by it. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm sure. Mr. Posting with Purpose. Those videos that GLM put out there, which I'm sure that's a sock of the defendants, possibly, right? Those videos that GLM put out have nothing to do with my case. Okay? And just so you know, Mr. Posting with Purpose, when the defendant put out his video that I have AIDS, which I don't, that was long before, GLM did that. And that was even well before I was with Don. So, quit trying to reach. You folks are the most ridiculous group of people I've ever met. You just can't stand down. You folks need a constant pat on the back. You need constantly to feel like you're in control, that you matter, right? That you're relevant, right? And I can understand a little bit of that every now and then to a certain extent, but the defendant needs constant validation. It's like you need constant validation even through your own stock accounts, sir. Now, I'm assuming that they're yours. I'm not accusing you that they're yours. I'm just saying, it appears like it could be yours, right? And I'm not accusing you of a crime or anything, sir. That's over a stock account. Oh, yeah, he's defaming me. He's accusing me of being all these stock accounts. So come on, man. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. All right. My lady in the chat has a quote. And her quote is, "We take care of our future best by taking care of the present now. See you later today." Yeah, we'll be going live from a walk in about 45 minutes from now. Maybe an hour at the most. One more time. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Dawn, my lovely lady Dawn, says in the chat, her quote of the day: "We take care of our future best by taking care of the present now. See you later today. Absolutely. Thank you, Don says ODN. Got a lot of love for all of you. We're leaving 52 in the box. Thank you so much for being here. 2 hours and 49 minutes. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.